Okay, backstory. My 27 females husbands, 29 males, older sister, 36 female, had a child when she was 19 from a one-night stand. He was adopted by a nice couple a couple states over in an open adoption. They will send her pictures, are friends on Facebook, and occasionally have little get-togethers. He calls her Mama T, as her name starts with a T. Although she does not celebrate Mother's Day with him, she asks those around her to wish her a happy Mother's Day and becomes depressed when she is not acknowledged. She is very active in birth mother groups and speaks annually at a camp on birth mother's trauma and issues. She is unmarried and has always desperately wanted to have a family and children. As for reasons that are not relevant, medical, my husband and I have decided adoption is the best idea, as we cannot and will not have a biological child together naturally. About 6 months ago, T announced that she's pregnant again. She told us she wants to have the baby, but once again is not in a financial position to keep the baby. So she's looking for adoptive families. Our families all know that we have been looking to adopt, and so she came to us about possibly adopting her children. My husband thinks it would be a good idea. The timing is right and his sister is a known quantity, as he put it. That is, we know she isn't doing drugs or drinking. I'm not opposed, but I had some concerns. For one thing, I don't want my child calling anyone else mom. We also live 45 minutes away, and from the way she acts from her first child's birthday and Mother's Day, I'm not sure it would be healthy for anyone involved. After discussions, last weekend we went to T and told her we would be willing to adopt her child. She and my mother-in-law were thrilled, as the only other prospective birth parents she had spoken to were 2,000 miles away. Until I told T that she would be Aunt T, not Mama T. She freaked on me. She told me that I was trying to erase her role as birth mother from the child's life. I told her that the child would be very aware that they were adopted and that T was their birth mother, but they would not be referring to her or treating her as a mother. She burst into tears and said I was trying to take her baby from her. I told her that if we adopted it, it wouldn't be her baby anymore. That didn't go over well. My mother-in-law has decided to stay out of this issue as much as possible. The entire rest of the family, who lives nearer to them, has been telling me that I'm being heartless and selfish and taking out my misery of being unwilling. They all know I'm capable to bear children on her. My husband supports me in front of them. He has said that if we aren't united, then we won't do it, but has also privately expressed to me how nice it would be to have a child genetically related to him. I guess he didn't realize how strongly he felt about passing on his genes until the option was back on the table. Not the a-hole OP. Your sister-in-law's behavior at being called aunt instead of mama is a clear indication of her plans for the adoption. Full of drama and all about her. It sounds like sister-in-law wants the perks of being a mom without the responsibilities of being a parent. Sadly, your sister-in-law's behavior ruined this whole thing for you. And understandably, you are wary about going through with the adoption. It's not in the best interest of the child to be put in the middle of this. It would be way too much drama and headache that you can't run or hide from because she's family. I would suggest you try looking at other options. I wish you the best of luck in starting your family. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I foresee way too much drama, headaches, and possibly heartache in the future if you adopt your sister-in-law's child. I understand your husband's thinking here, but you two may want to sit down, discuss, and really think about if this is the way you want to go. I would advise against adopting this baby. Your sister-in-law sounds nutty. Good luck. People have children they can't afford all the time and they make it work, whether on their own, with help from a partner, from parents, SNAP, etc. You were not the a-hole for saying it the first time, but it's time for you to gracefully duck out of this disaster of a situation. This woman wants you to care for and raise her child, but wants to still be the mother. She's being very unequivocal about not wanting a traditional adoption situation, and acting like you wanting something more traditional is unreasonable. If you keep entangling yourself in this, you become an a-hole too. Run, don't walk away. I saw the same kind of drama firsthand. An aunt adopted her brother's child, my cousin, for some reason that was unclear to me. My cousin grew up okay, but he definitely had issues with his mother and birth mother. I remember my mom telling him very clearly that although my aunt isn't his birth mother, she brought him up since he was a little baby, so he shouldn't treat her so badly. I think they have a better relationship now that my cousin's married and with kids, but when he was a teenager or early 20s, I clearly remember that he stayed over at our grandparents a lot. His birth mother, my other aunt, was quite helpless about the situation as she didn't want to push him away, but at the same time didn't want to offend her sister-in-law. Story 2. My daughter is 9 years old. I split up with her mom because she was cheating on me while she was pregnant with my kid. After my daughter was born and I was confirmed biological dad, we split acrimoniously, and there was a lot of unresolved anger on my part. My ex was vindictive and left my daughter on my doorstep, without telling me she was dropping off our baby, so many times. It got to a point one day where I called the police and sobbed that I didn't want to give my daughter back, because her mom kept withholding her from me, and then leaving her in unsafe places without letting me know until after she had done it. They helped a lot, and I was given custody of my daughter eventually. I can't say a bad word against child services and the cops because they both helped me out hugely. Over time, my ex wanted to see more of our daughter, and she stabilized enough where she will take our daughter once or twice a week. She also ended up having 4 more kids who she has custody of. Lately, my ex has been asking me to also pick up her other kids whenever I pick up my daughter from school, because they go to the same school, because she's too tired. She asks on days when she doesn't have our daughter, obviously due to the nature of our relationship. I don't want anything to do with her outside of necessary stuff for our daughter. I keep saying no because A, they aren't my responsibility. B, I'm not a taxi service to be dropping her kids to her after school. And C, I want to do no favors for this woman. She chose to have all these kids. She can pick them up from school herself. I told my mom that my ex keeps asking me to pick up all the other kids too. And my mom thinks I'm being a giant ass because my ex lives close to the school and it would make her life easier. Frankly, I don't think it's my problem. Am I the a-hole? You're not the a-hole, OP. Your ex might have changed and become a better person than before, but that doesn't mean you should be close to her or do favors. That will probably keep piling up for her, especially if these favors have nothing to do with your kid. It's hard being a mother to 4 kids, but she should realize that you're not on that level with her. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I could understand it if you were all on good terms and it was a day where you were dropping your daughter off at her house or something. Since it is not that and you guys aren't friends in any way, shape or form, she can get them. I do feel sorry for her other kids though. Not the a-hole. I would not want the liability of chauffeuring kids who are not mine every day. Is your car big enough for all of them anyways? Are you even listed as an approved person with the school to pick them up and take them home? These kids are your ex's responsibility. As long as you are not actively trying to damage the relationship between your daughter and her half-siblings, I do not see the problem with declining to serve as a taxi service. No a-holes here. I don't think asking makes the ex an a-hole. Maybe the way she goes about it is making her an a-hole, but that's not really in the post. You are not the a-hole for not going out of your way to help her. If you were picking up your daughter and then dropping her off at your ex's and refusing to also pick up her kids, then you would be the a-hole, but it doesn't seem like that's what's happening. Story 3. I am one of 4 kids. I live with my dad, stepmom and 3 siblings. I am 20 years old, a university student, and I pay rent to my dad and stepmom. I live with them as they live near my university and I can't afford to move out. I pay for my car and phone with my wages. My siblings are 17, 15 and 13. They have rules around them going out. The rules are staying in contact, home before sunset, If either of the above rules are broken, the rule breaker is grounded for up to 30 days. Rules of being grounded include no phone, laptop, or TV. The phone is kept in the liquor cabinet for the duration of the grounding, which is padlocked with a number lock that only me, Dad, and stepmom know the pin for. The only electronic we can use is the desktop PC in the family room, which is older than I am. No going out with friends or having friends over. If we are able to drive, we must hand in our car keys. These rules applied until I started paying rent, age 17, and once I started doing that, they let it go. But still checked in when I went out. This month I had my MOT, so I came up £50 short on my rent. I told them I would give them what I had this month, and I would give them the 50 plus normal rent next month. They agreed. I went out last night with some friends home around 3 a.m. My phone died around midnight, and Dad and stepmom were still up. They said as I can no longer be trusted to get home on time or charge my phone, I am grounded for 30 days. I was exhausted, so I just went to bed. Note, I don't drink at all, so I was fine to drive. I came downstairs this morning and went to get my car keys and phone, but both things were missing. I asked if anyone had seen them. Stepmom and Dad reminded me that I'm grounded. I said, no, I'm not, and went to the liquor cabinet. I entered the combination and took my car keys and phone back. Dad and stepmom said something like, "What do you think you're doing? You're grounded." I said, "No, I'm not," and left. I now have a bunch of texts from Dad and stepmom, all saying some variation of, "You just disrespected us in front of your younger siblings. Now we're struggling to enforce your stepsister's grounding, as she no longer thinks of these as rules that have to be followed. I also forgot to put the padlock back on, so my stepsister was able to just take her phone back, and found out the code to the lock while she did it. From my point of view, I'm 20 years old. I have a job, pay my rent and phone bill, and maintain my car. I'm only £50 short on rent this month, and I'm paying them the money owed next payday. They have no right to take my car keys or my phone or ground me. From their point of view, I didn't pay my rent in full this month, which they argue means that the house rules apply once again. When they tried to apply the house rules to me, I openly disrespected their rules in front of my siblings, and in doing so enabled my younger sister, who is currently mid-grounding, to go against her own grounding. Am I the a-hole? For information, the rent is £450 a month. I pay them £400. And next month, I will be giving them £500 to make up for what I was short this month. Update. I meant to have a serious talk with them sometime soon. I have found a few flats in the town my university is in, ranging from £150 to £350 a month, including bills. And I'm going to talk to some friends from uni and see if there's a potential roommate situation there. If my dad and stepmom won't lower my rent enough for me to have savings, then once my student finances comes in, about £1,000 coming in the next few weeks, that should cover the deposit and first month or two of rent, which will give me time to save up my wages and hopefully have some savings. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. You are a tenant that pays rent. If your siblings want free rein, they too can wait until they are old enough to pay rent. If being 50 short was enough to negate the whole deal, they should have told you this when they accepted the last 50 would be paid with next month rent. You are an adult. They can't ground you, but they could evict you, so be careful. Typically, I usually say, their house, their rules. But A, you're an adult. B, you pay rent. C, taking things away from your kids that you as a parent bought is one thing. Taking away things you pay for out of your own pocket is theft. So fully, unequivocally not the a-hole. They have no right to take things that aren't theirs. Their excuse that you didn't pay the full rent isn't part of their stupid agreement. They're just looking for a loophole to get you to cave to their grounding. Not the a-hole. You're being treated like a child with them trying to ground you and take away things you pay for, while also being treated like an adult and asked to pay rent. Tell your dad and stepmom to choose one or the other, rent or being able to ground you. They probably won't because of the money, but if they choose the latter, just get your own safe and put electronics keys in there. You pay for them so they cannot take those away from you. It's also not your responsibility to show discipline to your siblings by getting grounded and listening. They are crazy for thinking that. They just need to fix their parenting.